Hey everyone, and welcome to the Hair Healer Podcast. I'm your host, Colleen the Hair Healer. I invite you to embark with me upon a journey of exchanging energy and creating conversations with my clients as we discuss our journeys through life. So come with me and let's see where today's episode takes us. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hair Healer Podcast. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. God, it was so beautiful up here in the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area. So I hope everyone got to enjoy it. It's a funny thing though, as it instantly turns nice. And I've asked a lot of friends or people I've talked to over this time is when we go back, right, to a semi-normal, when things open back up, will we quickly forget all of this, and just pick up right where we left off, just while wearing face masks or whatever, or half of us wearing face masks? Or is it a new? Is it a new different? Judging by this weekend, the amount of people at the Jersey Shore, okay, listen, I know I'm ready to go down to the Jersey Shore and sit out there. It's just so funny to sit and watch and kind of gather what's happening to our country. We've been talking about this for the last 9-10 weeks on this I've been talking about it on this podcast and the changes, and it's so funny. I feel like now we're coming out of the dark part, the introspective part, the timing alone, and now we're emerging, right? Starting to emerge as the new people, the new souls, and the new things that we're bringing into the new world, right? Because again, there is going to be a new normal. So what are we going to bring into that? And I want to talk about Jupiter retrograde. I know I was just talking about Saturn retrograde, but Jupiter retrograde went retrograde on May 14th, 2020 until September 12th, 2020 in the sign of Capricorn. Now I will say one thing, okay? Jupiter is about expansion. It's about big. It's about growth. Okay. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and that's about restriction, so there's a little tension there, right? Because you have you have a big expansive planet in a sign that it wants to constrict it, roll it, figure out what to do with that. So there will be a little bit pressure on that. So I want to talk about the Jupiter retrograde though. So spiritual development, how is that growing now? How is that changing? Different things are going to start coming to help grow your spiritual development, personal growth, material regain, right? Things we lost, things coming back, expansion of studies, relearning, reviewing your life's belief systems. Again, Jupiter is all about our sort of belief system, our esoteric beliefs, the things, my astrology, all of that stuff is higher, greater than spiritual beliefs in there. And out of the blue financial opportunities also. A lot of times with Jupiter, it's out of the blue. It just came out of nowhere, a big cash of money. I'm here predicting for myself that whoever's listening to this out there, a nice contract comes along, someone that wants to come fund my podcast, someone who's going to come out of the blue to help bring me to the next level. And that's actually been an affirmation I've been telling myself for the last 2 weeks. Someone will come into my path to help take the Hair Healer podcast to the next level, come out of the blue, which is also a good thing to use in manifesting. Just say, you know what, when you want something to happen, blank is going to happen for me out of the blue, or something great is going to happen for me out of the blue. And when you say that too, and you believe it, you get your body excited, which means you get your energy and your emotions excited, which means you attract that. So again, it is retrograde in a cardinal sign, which is a little bit more strict, stern. We can review our visions, our deals, our belief systems, expand on your mental, emotional, and spiritual. Again, the Jupiter retrograde isn't that big. We don't feel it the way we feel Venus, Mars, Mercury, because it's further away. But it's still there, and it's really tying into the other retrogrades right now, but it is not bad. This is such a beautiful time, okay? Because right now we have 3 retrogrades going, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, just to restructure, rebuild, just go out into the world. You can be a brand new person, be whoever you want to be, and be who feels good inside of your soul. One thing, and then I'll jump into talking about this episode and I'll shut up, is my boss called me today, and I've been avoiding the inevitable of the reopening of the salon and what it's going to be like, okay? Because I just want to walk in and do hair and walk back out. And so I've just been avoiding it. I figured, why am I going to worry about it? I'll figure it out. My clients will figure it out. They'll figure it out and let me know. So I got my boss called me today, especially the first week in Saturn retrograde, and the restructure of the salon. Again, restructuring your business, restructuring your soul, Saturn, and just sitting there and having to go back and what it's going to be like. Apparently You have to wait in the car, text, putting, plexiglass between stations or working every other station, whatever it is rebuilding that. And I started to get a little stressful. And I said, you know what, Colleen, you haven't worried at all the last 9 weeks. And it's all worked out. So guess what? I won't worry about it until that comes either. Because again, I always say here's some reasons why you shouldn't worry. The biggest reason is that most of the time the things you're thinking and worrying about do not happen or don't happen to as bad of extreme as your mind's making out to be. But things that you should worry about that will come out of nowhere, will take you by storm, they come out of the blue, just like the coronavirus, right? You worried about money, okay, but you never thought that the coronavirus would be the thing that would take it away, vice versa. So just remember that. Let me jump into this episode. So I have my good friend, Nikki DiGiorgio. Tricky Nikki is her nickname. I have known her forever. She's one of the first people I met when I got clean, and I've been friends with her ever since. On and off, though, she started using drugs at the age of 16 and did not stop till almost 30, 28. On and off, she had times in there, but this woman is such an amazing spirit. But her last run, she was on the streets living for 6 months in Kensington. She has been on and off with drugs. And so she is here to bring some hope, because I know there were many times where I'd be like, I don't know how she's not dead, or she would be dead, but she is back alive, and I would always tell there's a purpose. You're here to help someone. You're here to help a lot of people. And her spirit has already helped so many people for a long time, even throughout her in and out of addiction. She's a Gemini. She has a huge soul, creative spirit. She's a witch. She's a tarot reader. She's really just taken all of her life lessons, I guess you could say, from addiction and growing through it, and now using the good parts and allowing her to feel empathy on the good parts. Because, sometimes empathetic people can feel too much emotions, which I think sometimes leads to a little bit extra drug use. But so she's using her empathy instead of taking it and taking too much and feeling negative, I guess is what I'm trying to say. She's using that and creating amazing arts. She's a musician, videos. I mean, I can't stop talking about how creative this woman is. And she brings such a story of hope here. So seriously, listen to the whole thing. You're going to love it. I'm super excited about this. Now, if you feel like you have a story of hope that you want to bring to the Hair Healer podcast, or you just have a question, suggestion, something you want to say to me, please email me, thehairhealerpodcast@yahoo.com. Find me on Instagram at thehairhealer1111. Follow, keep you updated on all my podcast stuff and astrology stuff and everything you need to know. Again, please like, share, comment, rate, review, whatever you listen to this on. I appreciate everyone. I'm so grateful. Now let's go and vibe with Nikki. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hair Healer podcast. I'm super excited on this Sunday night to be with my good friend, Tricky Nikki. I've known her for many, many years, since I got clean, and her name is @Tricky, and that's all now I just don't, because she's a Gemini, so she's Tricky, and now I just know her as Tricky Nikki over in Westchester. Say hello, Tricky Nikki.
Hey guys, how are ya?
We just had a crazy moment where the smoke detector went off in her house, not mine, but I said, oh my God, I have like spirits speak to me in smoke detectors, and you do. So why don't you tell us that story? Do you have any stories with it?
What, with smoke detectors going off?
Yeah.
Not me personally, but I just know that historically, in my own experiences, just spirits or presences messing with technology, period. Like static, something, or I think back when I was really having my true spiritual awakening, I think I messaged you because I mean, it was out of nowhere. It was just a text message. It was someone that, they never responded. It was some crazy area code. And it sent me a picture that it was a notebook. It was a pink notebook with a butterfly on it. And it said, "Be still and know." Wow. And before I even looked into it or even digested that message, I was just like, hey, who is this? I don't have your number. Then I reverse looked up the number. And then when I was reverse looking up the number, which by the way is nothing, it's tied to nothing and no one. It's not a number.
Oh my God.
I saw that it was sent at 4:44. And I was just like,
whoa.
And you, I don't know, for anybody, I don't know if you had a spiritual awakening when the synchronicities are just outlandish. So I had my hands in astrology, numerology, and like, but and I was just like, what? My head exploded. I was just like, this is insane. And still to this day, I have no idea what that was. But
and what's funny about the 444, because when, again, numerology, as you know, is so, but for people listening, is like super, super actually like intense and deep and dense. But the general numbers that you see and people are talking to about 444 is like really your angels and your guides are right there.
Like you are protected. And as long as I can remember, as being a little girl and growing up, I've been told by either random people or people I knew who had any kind of spirituality, not any denomination, whatever. I've always told that I was like surrounded by angels. And my story.
Listen, I just want to say before we jump into your stories, every guy, which you know is that I have been with, has known you. And I feel like each time, like in there, you know, I'd see you, you'd get clean, you would. I feel like each time I remember saying to them, like, and I was saying this the other day, I don't know how she is not dead. There would be like, you were so out there and just like continuing. And especially nowadays, like back when I was getting high, like the joke wasn't like it is now. And I'd be like, how is she still alive? Yeah, I'm so grateful you are and so blessed, but like, damn.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, the times that, let alone like the drugs that I was using that will just sometimes make you die or inevitably make you die, like the situations that I've been in, like the lifestyles, like it blows my mind. On paper, statistically, like I should have been like, if it was like 1920s, actually, I don't know like the time period, but whenever there were sanitariums, like if I was experiencing life how I had experienced it up until this point back then, I would have been locked away and like the key thrown away. Like
forever.
Like on paper, like I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not. And even if I'm here, even if I did survive, like to have the life and the perspective and the hindsight and wisdom and all that stuff, like it's crazy.
That's because you're here to help so many people. Now, one of the things I want to touch on is the end of your road when we reconnected in a spiritual way. Like I met Nikki. I was thinking about the first time I saw you. I think I had maybe, you know, I was at a meeting and I think I had maybe 90 days clean or something. And I remember you sitting there. I was like, who's that? Because, you know, I always look at people who are very interesting. Like I look and you have this giant amount of beautiful hair. And I remember seeing the tattoo on your arm with the music notes because I thought that was so interesting. And you stood up for 24 hours or less that night. And I gave you a hug and to see the journey of who you have, again, you've made a mess of things and to see how far you've come. But I really want to, let's talk about the end of your road or whatever you want to say.
Well, thank you, by the way. And I just want to say, I reminded you about this like a month ago or something, but like for real, that like first time that we met and connected at a meeting, it was in a basement in Westchester on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I was just like watching, I was just assessing the room and just like taking it on like, who can I talk to? And I was just listening to you talk and you were just going a mile a minute. And you're like, I'm going to be a talk show host one day.
That's right.
And I'll never forget that. Like, and then to see this come to light and it's like, not only did you make a podcast, people are making podcasts left and right. I tried to make a podcast. But like, you literally are like an interviewer, dude. You sound great.
Thank you. Oh, you're making me blush.
Good.
On my own show.
I'm just saying, I'm just keeping it real with you. But well, without going too much into like the way past, because a lot has happened in just even the last 3 years. I started using drugs when I was 11.
11 years old?
Yeah.
What was it?
I started smoking weed and drinking.
Yeah. What was your first cigarette? A Newport? Mine was.
No, it was probably something awful. I don't know, probably like a Pall Mall or something like someone stole some cigarettes from their grandma or something. Maybe it was a Marlboro Light, actually. I think I found my dad's Marlboro Lights. Nice. I was so mad he was smoking. So I was like, I'm going to smoke.
Too.
Yeah. So I started smoking pot and the feeling that it gave me was literally like a missing puzzle piece of my soul. Wow. The first like cognitive thoughts I can even think of life for Nikki as I know it was like, not like like suicidal depression, but I was always questioning why I was here. Like I was always like, I had this, like, I bared this sadness since I could remember.
Wow.
And then add on like some like sex trauma and like a whole bunch of other stuff. I think I had made a perfect brain chemical concoction to be open to drugs working very well, the same way that like a medication would work very well.
Yeah.
So smoking weed for me was a relief. Like I felt like I could finally breathe. And I made a conscious decision with myself and maybe like God or whoever. I was like, I will feel this way forever. Like there will be no more pain that I've been living in anymore. And like, I didn't say it out loud, but I was just like, this is it. So
you remember being that painful as what, 11? You remember just in that much?
Wow. I look back on some of like the things that I wrote and I was just like, are you good? Like, how did I?
Are you good?
Like, I'm like shook that nobody ever, I guess people did try to say stuff, but like, what do you say?
And you know what? I feel like you are the same as me, as we're kind of like, look, we've had to deal with our own emotional shit by ourselves. So like, I'm fine. Like, don't ask me while we're like crying and like, oh my God, I hate myself and all this stuff.
Right. This hard exterior doesn't come from genes. Like it's a very, well-oiled machine of defense mechanisms.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good, I like that.
So, but yeah, so whatever. I would have never thought, I experimented with everything under the sun because I was like, okay, if weed does this, then like maybe this will also give me a certain reaction. And by the time I was 14, I had tried everything except meth and heroin. And I was like getting straight A's in high school. I didn't have
Were you a raver? Were you like me? Were you a raver?
Yeah, that was 16.
That was 16th birthday.
Yeah, I was like outside of like New York at 16 years old, telling my mom my phone was dying with like people screaming in the background. I was like, all right, I gotta go. I'm at Rachel, see ya. And raving, and then being away all fucking weekend, and then coming home.
Yeah. What?
Am I allowed to curse?
Oh, please, yeah, curse away.
Yeah. And then going back to high school on Monday. But yeah, so I was like, I had like not the best associations growing up, and someone told me that was older than me that I looked up to. She was like, listen, work hard, play harder. And I was just like, all right. So like I got straight A's, and I was like the editor of the newspaper. I was
damn.
Like, I love to learn. Like I love
Gemini.
That's what I'm saying. So like that stimulated me. Like I like to do that. And as long as I got like straight A's, to me, that was permission to like, wow out, like go balls to the wall, do whatever you want. You're doing, it's not affecting anything. So whatever, the friends that I was like rolling with, they eventually started getting into harder stuff like heroin. And I remember even the word was like a loaded word to me. And I was like, never. I don't even know why you guys are exploring there, because everything that people say, like, why would we look into that? But they started doing it, and I got into my first relationship, and I just stopped hanging out with them. And then when that ran into the ground, I was just in so much pain. And
how old were you at the time?
I think I was 16. The first time that I did do it. I went and hung out with them, and they presented it to me, and I don't want to make it seem like that they were doing it.
Yeah.
And they had some, and I was like, yo, what's up? And I fell in love with it. Like, once again, like going back to that feeling of relief that weed initially gave me, I was just like, why would I care about anything else except for feeling this way? Like,
so scary, especially because when you get into heroin, you're this like raw of a person, like you said, and then all of a sudden it's like I said it in my episode about my story. It's like I remember my ex saying the first time we shot up, like it's like Christmas morning. Just that one time though. After that, it's a fucking horrible thing, but like it's scary. You're just like, oh, these are the answers, right? That's what we tell our twisted minds.
And that's all I wanted was answers. Actually, I just wanted somewhere down the line, and I don't know if this was like something I was born with or like whatever, but somewhere down the line, I realized that I told myself that if I sat with myself for any period of time alone, that either like I would die somehow or I would kill myself, or I am like very aware that like I told myself for a long time, like, you can't be by yourself. So
you just knew you were gonna cause harm, dead.
Well, here's the thing that ties into my spiritual awakening. So I truly believe that, like, whether, like, we all know that that's not true. We all know that you can't just magically die. Like, that's not, I mean, in that respect, you know what I'm saying? But like what dope provided me was like, I can still exist in this container, but like not be here. Like I didn't want to be present. I didn't want to feel the things in my body. I didn't want to feel the shame. I didn't want to feel the guilt. I didn't want to feel the lack of self-esteem and all that stuff. And like that did it. I mean, shell of a human. I went on.
I was just gonna say, I remember feeling like I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die. Just like that. No. You're just a shell. You're just a fucking shell.
I just didn't know another, like, even like heroin alone, like heroin aside, like drugs period. Like I didn't know a good life. Like I literally thought that like people had been given like a guidebook to life and like I missed it or didn't understand it because like I just
wow, interesting.
Dude, I acted abnormally. Like
Me
I acted
too.
like a child. Like I stomp my feet when I don't get my way.
Yep.
Everything's a personal attack against me. The world always dealt me like a shitty hand, like blah, blah. So without boring you with like a whole bunch of like horrific details I'm 28 now, from 16 to, what was it? 26, I guess. 16 to 26. I went on to go to a total of 54 rehabs. Ooh. Or 54 times in rehab, not 54.
I believe it. I mean, since I knew you, I feel like it was like every other month, every 2 months.
That became a safe space.
Can I ask you that? Because so I had like a few that I went to, but I got clean younger. So I never had the like 20 or 50. I was in like the 5 and under. And so, right, pretty good, all right? And so my question is, did you go all the time sometimes just because, like, I know I always actually went because I was forced to, but did you do it just like you needed a place to live and sleep and needed to clean up for a month? Like, how many times did you go in with the intention to actually get clean versus how many times did you go in just to have a place to stay? I always just wondered that with people that go 50 times, you know?
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think only a handful of times was I like really feeling desperate enough or where I could even muster up the courage to even try again, because becoming a relapser in a recovery community, it sticks to you like a plague. You get a reputation and like I mean, that's all ego bullshit, but I'm just saying like, that's just the reality. And I just thought like in the one program, they say like constitutionally incapable, but it's like, no, I was like, oh, I'm constitutionally incapable of getting sober. And they're like, no, that says constitutionally incapable of being honest with yourself. And even then, those with grave mental disorders can recover too. Like, so I would literally have to be like definition psychopathic to not be honest with myself. So that's what they're saying. So I was just like, whatever. I just thought I couldn't do it. Like I would go in there, I would get sober. And I mean, like I would, to the best of my ability in that moment, like try everything and do everything, do sponsor, step work, make the meetings, get in service, like do all that stuff that those specific communities told me to. And I would be happy and I would see results. And I just think that...
Did you feel like you didn't deserve it?
I'm sure there was an element of that, but I think that for some reason I associated recovery with happiness. In terms of like, nobody sat me down in rehab, no judge sat me down, no person sat me down, no person in the 12-step meeting sat me down and said, if you get sober, you will be happy all the time, because that's essentially what I wanted to be with drugs. And that's why it worked so well. I was like, I want to feel happy all the time, or just good all the time. So then I would get sober and I would feel good, because if I'm living on a card or on a wooden pallet in Kensington. I'm homeless and blah, blah, blah. You take the drugs away from me, automatically things are just going to get better. You can't go down.
That is the truth. I mean, even getting like $5 in your pocket that you can keep there. I remember that. Or like, yes, not having to beg for cigarettes on the street.
Right. Exactly. So I would take the drugs away, be eating more frequently, getting sleep, and like, my life would get better. In fact, like I was like the ultimate comeback kid. Like I would go out and I would get these jobs that I knew that I could do. And like, it was a miracle. It was a fucking Christmas miracle.
You get cars.
Yo.
You would get like a brand new car, a brand new job. You would just be like.
That's what I'm saying. And I would come out and I would do the thing. And then I was just like at the first sign, there's two things that could make Nikki relapse. At the first sign of a bad day or at the first sign of a heartbreak, you can pretty much count me out, dude. Like, so
those the two things you can't or you have trouble handling.
Historically, like I would be like, my brain would just like misfire. Like when like someone would hurt me, like even friends, when someone would hurt me and I would be like cursing the sky and I'd be like, God, this is not the contract. If I got sober, life would get better and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not equipped to deal with these things. And I would use like spirituality, quote unquote, as like I could talk that shit and knew the lingo. And like, I thought that I meant it. I thought I was praying and shit. And like, I think I was to the best of my ability at that time. But like, when it came time to like apply like any kind of solution, I was just like, drugs. Like that was still a solution for me. And they still work, dude. They worked wonders. It honestly, besides the fact that like you can die from heroin, I think that drugs and alcohol like preserved me from probably killing myself at one point. Like,
wow,
I was just so broken. And when me and you reunited.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I think to that, I remember when you called me out of the blue or messaged me for my number, and it had been a couple of years since we had been in contact. And from what you were telling me, that was like the worst of the worst, right? You just disappeared. I knew that. And you were like really living on the street. Like when I was homeless, like I had nowhere to go and I would live on couches and drug dealers' houses, but you were fucking living on the street in Philadelphia in the worst part of all of it.
Air drug market, the biggest,
right? Market. Philadelphia.
In the Kensington neighborhood. And, there was like a line that society had drawn in the sand. And like, even to this day as like a recovered person and like someone who doesn't intentionally harm themselves anymore. Like I still say, fuck that line, like fuck the line that society draws. I like to be different.
Yeah.
But there was a line that I had drawn in the sand, which was like, I would never do X, Y, and Z ever. I would never do that. And then to find myself, because I was also, my definition of homeless before that was also what you said. Yeah. And like that is homelessness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're just not living on the fucking street.
Yeah. And I had successfully burned every single bridge. Nobody wanted to let me crash on because if people would let me crash on their couch and I would like take advantage of them too and like ruin it for myself. So I landed in Kensington, on Kensington and Somerset.
Which is in North Philadelphia.
Yeah.
For those listening don't know.
It's wild, dude.
So what do they call it? They call it the land of the zombies or the land of the dead.
Badlands. Yeah, like it's...
And so for those listening, again, that don't know, it's in North Philadelphia. And again, it's the biggest open air market in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. And basically people are just living in tents and just want wherever you want, prostitution, what you want to walk down the street, get whatever drug you want, right?
I'm not even... I mean, when I was 16, and I can only imagine like how much it's changed, but when I was 16 and like going down there, first of all, I was scared to even get out of the car. I was like, I'm going to get shot or something. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just bad.
It's bad.
But, like, you couldn't be out on the street doing your drug of choice, whatever that is, out in the open. Like, the neighborhood people would kill you. Like...
Interesting. So I didn't know that. But now it's different. Right now you can.
Back then, like, you would get your ass beat. Like, you can't be... Like, you're drawing. You're making... First off, there's kids. And then for the drug dealers, you're, like...
Yeah.
You're bringing attention there. But when I went back this time, because they have been pushing out all the encampment sites, all the tent sites. There was a time where people were sleeping along these abandoned railroad tracks, and like that was like a literal like encampment, like for miles, like just people living there. And that was off the streets, or there was abandoned houses that people would take over. None of that. You go down to Kensington right now and you will see sidewalks of people looking into like some kind of reflection to shoot up in their neck out in the open. Like,
and cops don't give a shit there anymore, right?
No, that's if you ever want to get on some weird shit, I will gladly go off about the Philadelphia Police Department and this whole.
What comes to your mind? One Philadelphia Police Department, what they're not doing in Kensington.
Well, I'm just saying.
I've heard some things. So throughout the years when I sponsored women that had been homeless in Kensington, I've heard some things.
I've had Philadelphia Police Department officers misuse their power with me as a 17-year-old girl when I was getting arrested. Now I'm much older, but still, like, they talk to you like you're not a human, especially if you're a girl. Like, you're not protected by them. But honestly, what comes to mind when I think about Kensington and that experience is it was an eye-opening experience that, for example, if they would do a sting, and a sting to them is like the cops will like stake out undercover on a certain block. And you don't have to like build a case against these drug dealers like how you normally would, where you would have to get like confirmed sales and like them saying it, and you would have to see it getting passed off. You don't have to investigate that. You sit out there for 5 minutes and their drugs are held like either in their pocket or like in a rock nearby. Like, it's all right there. But who's getting arrested in these things? The addicts. Because why? Because it's more profitable. Wow. If you lock up someone who's not a drug user, they're less likely to like reoffend in the fact like how I was in and out of jail and how I was in and out of the system because I couldn't stop getting high. And every time I go into a for-profit prison, that's money. And like I said, that's a whole other
conspiracy episode.
Yeah. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, when I was living out in Kensington, I had warrants out for my arrest. Nothing serious. They were just failure to appears. But it got to the point where they'd stop me and I already knew. And I was like, this is my social security number. I have 2 warrants out. And they're like, have a good day.
Oh,
and
really?
They didn't care. My mom was the one who got me.
Right. I was just going to say that. So your mom, I want to say what's funny about I've never met your mom in person, but she's beautiful. But I've just known of her and the things she's done for you throughout the years. And we've discussed that your mom and my mom are both Pisces. And Pisces are fucking codependent motherfuckers. And your mom and my mom, I mean, we wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for our mothers. No, but like, and every time I'd see your mom and I'd hear the things that she would be doing for you to try to save you, I'm like, oh my God, like she reminds me of my mother. The same thing, like I'm not giving, even though everyone's telling me leave, and I think the same thing, right? Everyone was like saying, leave Nikki, like fuck Nikki, you know what I mean? Your mom couldn't do that. My mom couldn't do, everyone was like, leave Colleen, it's her own, like she could not physically stop.
I started Facebook disagreements in my parents' marriage because of that. My dad would have let, my dad's a cancer. He would have let Maya sit in jail every single time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Cancers are the much harder, like stubborn learn than Pisces. Like, oh my God, it's okay. I forgive you. I love you. I want to save you.
And one thing I can say about my mom is as long as I was showing effort to like be in the right, to be trying to change my life, she was like, behind me 100%. Like
100%. I would see it. I would just see it through Facebook. I could see her.
Yeah, but I definitely drove her crazy.
Did you? But I think I see with my kids, like I hope, and I'll always be honest with them with my journey that they don't do it. But like, I feel like I'd be just like my mom and your mom. I can't imagine like seeing, you know.
I'm terrified for my kids. I can just see it in my romantic relationship.
We're savers.
How like a Lisa-ism will just flow out of me. And I'm like, oh, dude, here we go. But people told me that would happen. You know, people told me that my mom would be my best friend one day. People told me that you would act just like your mom someday. And like, I know it, but.
So let's get into her getting you arrested, which was like getting you out of homelessness.
So 6 months into living down there, it's starting to get
6 months
cold.
You were there?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Starting to get cold. It was November. I will never forget. It was Thanksgiving night, and I didn't have money. I was fighting with the dude I was running with. And I was just sitting outside on Kensington and Somerset, and I was just looking up at the sky, and I was like, I can't get myself out of this. It's going to have to be some kind of divine intervention. That's what I said.
Wow.
3 days later, my mom had some wild connection. It wasn't even police officers that arrested me. She knew, somehow had a contact with like the chief of the, what does SVU stand for?
Sexual victims. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's who rolled up on me.
SVU?
And yes. SVU rolled up on me because they could, because I had warrants. So they technically had reason to collect me. And there's many times that I had been in that situation with handcuffs on, like in the back of seat of a car with handcuffs on my arms. And I was just like, there's many thoughts that have gone through my head at that time. Some of them were, oh, dude, I'm glad because I couldn't fucking figure it out this time. Or
like were you always happy? Like when you got arrested, like, oh, at least I have somewhere to eat, sleep. And
well, there was always some kind of relief.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because I was like, I can't keep, like, I was like burning at both ends. And then sometimes I was like, I would be in the back of a cop car knowing that I wasn't going to jail, and I just couldn't wait to just run right back. Like, wow. Okay, yes, sir. Yep. Can I go? And be right back. There was like emotions that I felt. But this last time, like I said, like I had stepped over a line that I had never imagined for you don't imagine those types of things that I just could have never. The things that I endured in those 6 months alone would have been enough for a lifetime, let alone my other shit from a lifetime. But when I was sitting in the backseat of the car, I was just like, you know what? I don't know anymore. And that was very powerful for me to say, because I am a smart person. I am an intellectual. I would go to these meetings where I was seeking help initially. And I understood I was picking up what you were putting down. And so I would always be like, I know what I have to do. I just don't know how to practically apply it. And I blocked my blessings for years saying that shit because I thought that I understood what you were asking me to do, but I did not. That's just because I'm here again. So for the first time, I like figuratively threw up my hands and was like, I don't know anymore. So this is where shit started getting crazy in a good way. Yeah. Like,
let's drop those hope bombs.
Yes. So I go to Chester County Prison, where I'm well known there.
Do they know you as Tricky Nikki?
No, they probably know me as DiGiorgio. They know that, like, I used to like write raps about like the COs, and like they would like buzz into my cell and be like, "Can you sing the rap for me?"
That's
like
funny.
I was working it inside, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Putting that farm stick, you know. And I just knew how to survive, man. Like, First off, sidebar, like, you can't be miserable in jail because you might as well just hang it up, right? That you have to. And as like a trauma survivor, I already know how to adapt. And as a Gemini, I already know how to adapt. Take a quick quick assessment of the room, boom. Yeah. So I would be there and I would like make the best of it. I don't know why. Oh, you were just like, do they know you're tricking? Oh, yeah. So I got there, and the look on the CO's faces who did know me was horrific. Like they were just
they never saw you that bad.
I'd never been that bad, dude.
Wow.
Just been that bad. They were just like they were shocked. People were like being like super gentle with me, and honestly, I did feel like a battered person. Like I was just like so like just spun out. And I got there, and I was like, all right. I mean, after the terrible detox, because in there you don't get like meds in the way of like
same as a psych ward, unless you're prescribed it.
Yeah. Unless, I mean, but still, even if you're on methadone, you're coming down super quick. So you might as well enjoy that while it lasts. So I just slept for 3 days and was super sick and couldn't get up. Like the COs were like, "Can you please try to eat DiGiorgio?" And I was like, no, my life is ending. No. So I get back, I go into like the general population, and I'm like, all right, I was mentally preparing myself. I had no idea when I was getting out. It was right around Christmas. I was like, whatever's going to happen, let's start, whatever. So I'm just starting to get settled in, and I was just going to do the same thing that I always do, survive. And that's to no fault of my own. That's how I stayed alive this far. And then all of a sudden I'm on the phone, and sometimes when I get really stressed, only my armpits sweat. So I felt something dripping down my arm. So I just thought, because I'm like on the phone, I'm just like, okay, I'm just sweating like profusely. I look down and there's just blood running down my arm.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? And I showed someone, and they're like, dude, that's MRSA. And I was like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
You die from MRSA.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, was it from an injection site?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But you didn't even notice it was getting bad?
A week later. No, dude, it didn't show up till a week later. And they were like, I was like, don't tell anybody. I'll be fine. I'll dress it myself. And they were like for some reason, because logic never worked for me. And they were like, no, it was like an older woman. She was like, no, honey, like if that goes to your heart, you die. And
it goes pretty fast, I think, MRSA.
Yeah, I mean, if it's bad, and I'm sure it was, because I was living like an animal. So I go down to medical, and they look at each other, and then they leave the room, and I'm already hip to what's about to happen. So if you get quarantined in medical, and this is also so crazy because I've been listening to your podcast, and different people were talking about times that prepared them for this.
Yeah.
This is the time that prepared me for this. So I'm going to paint the picture of what a medical cell looks like. If you get quarantined down there, it is imagine the most fluorescent light that you could possibly think of, the most annoying fluorescent light, 24 hours a day under video surveillance in a very, very cold, Titanic cell to keep down.
I feel like they're trying to kill you in quarantine. You're already dying with that.
They called it contact isolation, and they weren't kidding. I was the only contact that I would get, or the only interaction I would get, was a guard coming around every 15 minutes to make sure I didn't kill myself. And that's protocol. That's not exclusive to me. And you get nothing, especially with MRSA. At least they would have tried to throw me some books and stuff, because they, not every guard there is an asshole. People are,
Nice.
And they took me into the back. And I was begging and pleading with the one corporal. I was like, please, please don't do it. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake. And going back to what I said, it was right then and there that I realized the thought and belief that almost killed me my entire life was that when they closed that door behind me, I'm going to die because of being by myself. That's when I got it. I was so terrified.
Fuck.
Now, mind you, a week ago, I'm ducking casually at 2:00 in the morning when I hear bullets going over my head.
Just like it's a branch.
All right, not even blinking at the insanity. But now I'm shaking like a little girl.
Wow.
Because I have to be with myself, and I had never had an experience like that. Now you think about quarantine, and listen, and I'm not even diminishing anybody's experience, because this is still tough, even having distractions. But think about a jail cell, a gray jail cell. Your uniform's green, everything's a muted, dull color. They break you down in certain ways, the rules, whatever. I had nothing to distract myself. And for 3 days, it felt like the most intrusive, depressive,
there it goes.
Pardon me. So.
See, there it is. We were talking about at the beginning of the episodes. See, look, while you're telling the story, someone's with you.
I'm shook.
They're proud of you.
I think it's this candle. Hopefully that doesn't set it off more. Sorry about that. So for 3 days, I proceeded to go through every thought for the past 26 years that I had refused to think my entire life. Because if you think about it, how I explain new people trying to get into meditation, I'm like, dude, at first it's going to seem like it doesn't work for you. At first it's going to seem like what it is a backlog of thoughts. Like think about like a million emails you haven't read to get to like an empty inbox. And it was just like, it was every thought that I had denied plus insane ones. Like, is someone going to die? Like for no reason, based out of not reality. And I was like, I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to fucking die. Like, this is crazy. I didn't sleep for 3 days. It was just going boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, just like meditation, and this is what I now come to know as meditation. All of a sudden, I hit that lull where everything, it's like being like the waves of like a storm in the ocean just stop and like everything starts to like just settle down. It was like this calm. And it dawned on me, and this was the most powerful thing, that is the most outright direct message I've ever gotten from source or spirit in my entire life, was that like, you have almost killed yourself based off of the belief that you can't be on your own. And like, why? Like, this is your power, stand in your power. You have just endured this. Nothing can hurt you. Like, it was very direct. It was like, nothing can hurt you ever again. And I was rocked. I was like,
I have so many chills right now, like running up oh my God.
Dude, it was insane. And I still didn't know what was happening. Like, I heard that voice and stuff. And now I know that's like source and that's my people, just because I've through like ritual and meditation and stuff. But I was just like, okay. And then tell me why. By the end of it, I'm smiling. I'm singing songs in a cell with nothing, keeping myself occupied, just whatever, you know, like I was finally free. It felt like, and then they're like, all right, you get to go. It was 10 days of that.
10 days of that? So you were in the quarantine for 10 days?
Yes.
So, I didn't know that. Jesus Lord.
Without going too off topic, I'm going to try to keep like the parallels of then and now going.
Yeah.
So I think when we first heard about quarantine, when they said like 2 weeks, I was just like, bring it on. And then after the 2 weeks, when they employed the first 30 days till May 1st, I was just like, after the initial aftershock, because I still feel things and still get upset. Spirituality, I'm saying this for me and to anybody else, spirituality does not absolve you of hurt or anything. You know what I'm saying? So after that initial like shock of like, oh my God, May 1st, it was like, it wouldn't have stuck. None of these huge realizations and new perspectives on life would have stuck if it was only for 2 weeks. If you think about it from, and you'll understand this, if you think about it just from the treatment perspective, they recommend for drugs and alcohol, and I don't know if this applies to anything else, but from the treatment perspective, they recommend 90 days minimum for a good shot at long-term sobriety.
Yeah.
Because 40 days makes a habit, 90 days, they're just anywhere from then on. So I was just like, you know what? I don't think, because those 2 weeks were great. I had so many epiphanies, and I was just like, oh, like, whatever. It was all magical and cinematic again. And I was just like, I got to that point. So whatever. So I go back, after I leave medical, I go back onto the block, start being on my bullshit, because I'm just trying to like, I'm just like free and blah, blah, blah.
You're Geminiing it up.
And I had a gravitational pull to this girl, Danielle, who's a Cancer, who is a medium, a psychic, a Reiki master, a massage therapist, knows her shit. And I had no idea. I literally just didn't want to go back up into my cell and be by myself, because that's how long the lesson lasted.
That's how.
So I went down with this girl, and it was like 7:00 at night. And before I know it, she had my chakra points spinning, dude. And I didn't know what that was. Like, we had just talked about all this stuff. And at first, and I get like this a lot with my female friends, I think I'm in love with them at first.
Yeah.
Really just this like crazy soul connection. But without a doubt, I've thought I've been in love with at least if you've been a girl and you're wondering, yes, I've been in love with you. Or thought that I was in love with you. And I was just like, woo. And she was like putting me on. She's like, hey, like, this is meditation. Hey, this is chakras. And she was like, and every time she said witchcraft, I was like, I don't want that. And she was just like, whatever. She knows.
Whatever.
What comes for witchcraft. And I was like, whatever. So I'm like learning all these good things, whatever. And then we both go to the hole for fighting.
You two got into a fight? Oh, for separate.
We both go to the hole, and she pulled some strings because she had been there longer than me this time. And she was like, so we go to the hole, a step up from medical. I mean, you're still locked down. You don't get to come out of your cell, but at least you can talk. If you scream loud enough under the door, you can talk to other people. You can have human basic interaction in a cellie. So literally, I ended my last jail bid meditating all day in a cell, doing past life regressions, doing insane, oh
my God,
spiritual muscles. And then I got out, and she was like, dude, find somebody who's even relatively into this. You were the first person I saw on Facebook.
Really?
That was shit about crystals. I knew that.
Is that why you reached out to me?
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
I know we always talked about astrology. Yeah. We always talked about the Geminis, and we're always on our bullshit. But like, I got out of Facebook, and it was like during an awakening, and I don't mean this to sound egotistical, but like, you just feel so like different than everybody and so misunderstood. And you're like, all these people are living in the matrix. And then I see like Colleen posting shit with like crystals and like full moons.
Who knows what I post?
I'm like, all right, she's who I need to talk to. And you coached me through some of the darkest times. In my early recovery, whether you know it or not, like, you really like gave me like practical tools that I could use. Like when you were like, I think it was a full moon, and you told me like how I could like release it like in actual ritual, and like whatever was bothering me, which was a relationship, and I did that, and I felt better, and it was like all cinematic, and it was crazy. And I started like researching my own stuff. So I got like heavily involved in witchcraft, and that has been.
Is that what you do now? What do you do now?
I mean,
what's your spiritual practices?
An eclectic witch, just because I.
Wait. It's been what, 18 months since you've been out of prison? I mean, jail that last time? What, 2 years?
3 years. Almost 3 years.
It's been almost 3 years already?
If not 3 years. I think it's almost been 3 years.
Wow.
Time goes by crazy.
Holy shit. Wow.
So I came out, and I hit the ground running with a 12-step program coupled with spirituality, and both of them helped each other, and both of them strengthened each other, and both of them had a lot of same principles to practice. So I was getting like all of this practice, and I started getting back to a new me. And my life got better, and not just like, cause I'm not even driving. I'm still not driving to this day. Like,
you don't have a license driving?
No. And
I don't think have you ever had, what's the last time you
I have, but like, I have DUIs, and I'm just not in a place that I want to give them my money yet. So for an interlock.
They'll come.
It's a racket. Yeah, I know. My one therapist, who's like a crazy shaman, she was like, that sounds like an interesting energetic cord to have wrapped around your neck. And I was like, wow, Nancy, calm down.
Calm down. Damn, I know. Jeez.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not paying it right now. I'm not doing it. Yeah, so I got, life was better in a way that I had never known. And I truly had, and when I say spiritual awakening, I mean it in like the spiritual community sense, but also like in a 12-step program, they talk about it's the 12-step as a result of these steps, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. And I had both of those, like a real life spiritual awakening coupled with one that came as a result of these steps. And I was great. And I started helping other people officially in the name of a sponsor. And like, that gave me purpose, and a purpose that I'd never had before. And it rocked, dude. It rocked so much. That whole time I talked to like 2 people, but for me not to be dating someone exclusively is crazy. But
same.
1, 2. That's how I was like, listen, I know I'm never shooting heroin again because I don't even want to be in a relationship. Like, I'm cool with me. I sleep with a smile on my face, knowing no one's cheating on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool. And I was able to show up for myself, and I didn't want anybody, and blah, blah, blah. I met somebody, I was about coming up on 2 years, and I met somebody organically because my ideals for a romantic relationship, should I enter one, I didn't want to meet them on a dating app. Like I was like, I don't even know where to meet people. I'm not even going to worry about this right now. And I'm no shade to anybody who uses dating apps. It feels forced and inauthentic to me. I can't do that. So I met someone in a record store in Westchester.
I never knew where you two met. Really? At a record store?
Yeah. And like, I mean, it wasn't love at first sight, which is also probably a good indicator of why it's like good, because it was just like, I was super attracted. I was like, everybody, all my roommates, I was like, that's my Crete Records crush, like blah, blah, blah. And then a year later, he finally asked me out.
Oh, a year later?
Uh-huh. And I was knee deep in my sex trauma work with the shaman lady. And when he asked me out, it was like the most purging session that I had done yet. And I was like, no, I'm not supposed to date. I'm like knee deep in like healing right now. And someone that I trusted was like, no, dude, this is happening for a reason. So I started dating them, and still to this day, we've been together almost a year. Still to this day. And I've been quarantined with him 24/7, and I'm still suspicious. Like, where's
the other shoe?
Where is it? And he's just, dude, he's a Capricorn. He's super patient.
You need patient.
Oh, dude.
We both need patient.
He's so gentle. He allows my divine femininity to come out and doesn't like make me feel bad for it or make me apologize. I do apologize, but like he doesn't take it too serious. If anybody treated me the way I treat people sometimes, like in my hysteric, like I don't know if I could do it. So I started dating him and everything.
Wait, hold on, pause. I'm putting on some pause. I know. I don't remember what we're talking about, everyone. Sorry, we had to take a pee break. That was the first time I was like, I mean, I have bad bladder anyway, but I was like, okay, this is so good. I'm like, I can wait. I'm like, no, we have to take a break. I have to pee so bad. We were talking about your spirituality, the end of hope and finding yourself, and then meeting your love now that you've been with for how long?
Almost a year. In August, it'll be a year. But yeah, I met him and I was completely thrown off my whole spiritual square. Like I didn't know how to even like interact with another human being, let alone like I always dated people who had like similar experiences to me, like recovering addicts and stuff. So like there was already like a whole, like we already know each other's soul to a certain degree.
Isn't that a truth? Yeah.
Right. So to do that, I mean, and I was completely sober, like doing nothing, like no.
Is he not in the rooms, or is he in the rooms?
No, he's not in the rooms, and he can smoke like a gentleman. Smoke weed. He doesn't throw it like sometimes even in just like regular conversation. I'm like, we just don't think the same way. Burn it down. It's like there's logic and reason here.
So he's a norm. He's like, this is the first. I don't know what that's like. Wasn't to not date another non-addict, because you're right. There's this instant like comfortability and like we know each other on this core level.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know because he wouldn't drink or smoke around me. But like then I was like, but it doesn't bother me to watch it. But it's just like, can I be with someone who's doing that? But besides that, like completely like shaking up like what I had just been doing for the past 2 years in sobriety, but because of like the therapy and overworking myself, I had started a cleaning business and I was also working at another job. At one point I was working 4 jobs.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And I was just like, I was just running myself into the ground pretty much, then met somebody on top of that. And that's a lot of energy that it takes. And I didn't even know how to give someone my energy. And I'm with him and I did something that does not need to be that I knew as soon as I did it. All of my relationships, except for this one, have been a series of me reenacting my trauma with men.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. And that's like a whole other episode. And I did something in that respect to like reaffirm, because I had just left therapy and she explained to me that I went into a trauma response. Wow. And I remember my spirit I remember dissociating that day, which is normal for me, even in regular talk therapy, to just be like, all right, that's enough to handle. We're going to go into protection mode. But I eventually come back. Like it could be the next day. I remember dissociating so far out of my body that I knew that I was in trouble. I was communicating it to the best of my ability with people. I was like calling like a sponsor and my friends. And I'm like, hey, like, I'm not okay. And like, I would have said the same exact thing. Everybody was like, dude, it'll pass. Like bad times, dark times pass. And I was like, all right, it's going to pass. So just don't do anything. I was drowning. My head wouldn't stop. I was so hyper aware of all my traumas. And I was like, this is why I act like this. And dude, my head hurts just talking about it. I never stopped thinking and I was so fucking tired. And I made the decision I think it was like a week before Halloween to pick back up again, the dope, the heroin, because I thought that it would provide me the same solution that it had provided me before having my spirit roughly awakened. Like, and I did it, and it didn't. First of all, it's fentanyl now. You just die. I died the first night I did it.
When was this?
In October of last year. I died, and they brought me back to life. And I was just like, whoa, I had overdosed plenty of times and been pronounced, like flatline, whatever. But like, that was just like, I didn't want that to happen. Like, I'm not suicidal. I am not so hopeless in like all of this like craziness that I feel like it can't get better. I do think I just wanted to stop.
To not feel, to go back to that moment where you didn't have to feel.
I couldn't do it. Like I could, but here's the thing. No, I wanted to stop thinking. The reason why I used for 3 weeks, it's me a total of 2 weeks I like used.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and it wasn't working because I did still want to feel. I just couldn't get ahead of myself. I don't know. I was looking for relief to just gather my thoughts because I wasn't even thinking rationally. It felt like therapy made it worse. Like I was just so triggered, just to be honest. Like that.
Well, when it all comes, especially years of hiding it, and then it all seems to come in these once, you just become like, where do I think? How do I look? How do I breathe? Who am I?
I felt paranoid, and like
wow.
I was, because I was just like exactly what you just described was me every single second. And then I was just like in this weird position where I felt like nobody would understand me, and like nobody, unless you've had trauma. But then it was just a mess. So I picked back up, whatever. 2 weeks went by. I didn't even want to do it anymore. I went to rehab, and I got out right before Thanksgiving of 2019. And I didn't identify with 12-step meetings anymore. I also left AMA, which they say that like you will like die and leave if you leave AMA, which is like usually pretty accurate. But anytime that I left AMA knowing with the intention that I was going to be okay, like I actually was. And I was just like, it was the 54th time in rehab.
Yeah. You were just done.
I was just done. I was like, you don't have to convince me to go to a meeting. I'm going to go, like, whatever. So I got out. I didn't resonate with meetings anymore. The language,
as my spirituality progressed, we've talked about very similar, like the beliefs that they say, it's just not what I believe in and believing in myself.
Well, and like, I'm such like a speak into existence, and I know you are, because you're the manifest queen, your goals, dude, you're fucking hero in that. I've seen it come true for you. And like, I've seen it come true for me. So like to say that I have the disease of addiction is not helpful to me. Yeah. Like, and I get why it's categorized. I understand the science to it, but I'm saying internally, intuitively, it does not, I can't operate. And what I found,
you can grow past that person. But if you're constantly believing you are that person, and every move you make that's outside of that, you're going to turn back into that person, is false. You're going to turn it back into that because you believe it.
That's what I'm saying. And listen, like there was times where it probably looked the same, me leaving the program, being like, but like I knew my intentions weren't sure and pure. And like I did believe that if I did anything against what they said, that I would not just relapse, that I would die. Yeah. That's what they tell you. They're going to die.
Yeah. I sometimes think that that's maybe what, not everyone, and hate to say that, but why sometimes people do end up using more than maybe just like they go out and just intention smoke, but then they start thinking in their own head, like, oh my God, well, they said that, if I did this, I'm going to end up this way. So I might as well just, how many times that happened to you? I might as well just do something harder then.
I did. And then I was also thinking about this. I think that I purposely would do those things to have a deeper understanding of who the fuck I really am. Like, that was a gamble, but I always knew that it wasn't going to be dope that takes me out. I always knew that. And I'm sure it's been said, and I'm not trying to like say I'm some powerful, like someone's like superpowers that just ever, because I'm just saying, like, I knew that wouldn't be my story, that I was here for a bigger purpose. And sometimes I just needed to die spiritually to have a new outlook on life. And every time I relapsed, I had a new outlook on life. And I got closer and closer to becoming who I really was. And I by no means want to sound like I am throwing shade at any 12-step program. I don't believe what you were just saying about, no, like you're going to do what you believe, like you can overcome and blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have overcome had I not been fully submerged in these programs. I am the person that I am sitting here in front of you because of the magic that happened in those rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I feel like they need like a graduation program. Like I feel like coming off of heroin, I needed all of that and I needed those things. But then like as you grow spiritually, like, okay, well, where's the next step? Because that's why I left. Well, I'm not going to sit there and hear all the same bullshit like that I needed then, because now it's different. My spirit's different. My soul's different. And I'm not going to believe these bad things about me that you're telling me to believe in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and if it's not about the drug, then why am I not cheating? Why am I not like, if the problem is me, why am I good in all of these other respects? But if
especially when you do the work,
that's what I'm saying. But if I have a sip of alcohol, I'm going to die with a needle in my arm. The logic, once again, I talk a lot about logic now because I'm a little bit more seen. It doesn't even make sense to me. And I had a sponsor. You were talking about the graduating program. Like I had a sponsor who wasn't like nurturing in like my spirituality. And I remember when I would try to have talks with her about like, hey, this ain't where I'm getting it. And she'd be like, what do you think, you spiritually plateaued with 18 months? And I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like it was super damaging. But when I decided after I got out of rehab, I called her because I was terrified, dude. I was terrified if I walked away that I was going to die. And I was like, do I really like want to risk it? Is that true? And I tried to be honest with my intents. And I was like, hey, I'm going to like, I'm looking for a new experience. I'm going to go to a bar and like, see if that brings me any fulfillment. And I might smoke weed. And I don't, and I'm telling you this because I want to have my lifeline set in place. Yeah. But I know if I share this at a meeting, people are going to say that I'm going to die with a needle in my arm. And I don't feel that to be true. To which she replied, well, I don't have any evidence that you won't die with a needle in your arm. And I was like, okay, well, we're done here.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're done here. And it was like 3 months of like unconditioning myself of like the shame and guilt of like walking away.
3 months. I feel like I still have, it's been like 2 years and it's been still this like.
But you were sober for like, you were in the program for a lot longer than I ever was. So that's probably why it's taking you
so long.
Like, and I brainwashed myself because like you said, I was a heroin addict who had no concept of basic living.
Like you have to be told these things. When you get clean, you have to literally be told how to relive your entire life in every avenue. So you need to believe in something like this.
I just wish there was more discussions, like how you said, or like a graduate, like other meetings to go to where it was just like, I don't know, but I wanted a new community because I felt like I should be able to talk about things that are bothering me, but I have to be like a servant of people, which generally, even to this day, makes me feel good when I am helping other people.
Absolutely.
But like, I was like, well, where the fuck am I getting my spirit filled? Like, I was so resentful, and I'm not anymore. I said, like, I'm so grateful, but like my relationship with drugs has changed. Like, I can smoke weed, and like I believe in plant medicine and mushroom ceremonies. I would do ayahuasca if ever given the, like, I believe, and those are just like the commercial plant medicine.
I'm
like,
110% on that.
like anything, like just going to the Prana House in Westchester and getting like her tea mixtures. And the last episode I listened to was the tea girl, Allison.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, because like that's already been like I already been on that type time. Like I'm like, yeah, no, like this stuff really does work. And like to each their own. I wish that everybody find a solution.
Real quick, do you want something I want to ask? And something found me. I feel like being in the rooms for so long and in and out, and you've been in, I always did one fellowship, you did both. And, is it that people keep relapsing too? I know for me, like, again, that just like not working through that trauma, not wanting to really, really work through it and really work through all those emotions that keep us using all these years long, and you see, and I saw how much nitty fucking grit you have to go through emotionally to get through that other side.
Well, just as a general like outline, like what's the deepest you're going to go? You would possibly even scratch the surface with trauma in the 12 steps. 4 and 5, like where you delve into some basic ass resentments, which at the time is like, oh my God, so many connections. And
so huge. Yeah.
But there was plenty of times where I was under the impression that I was like, I cleaned spiritual house now. Like, boom. Like, and I had no idea. I can say that in hindsight that every relationship that I ever had was me reenacting sex trauma, but I didn't know that until recently. And I forget what
Well, you know what? It's fine because we've been talking, and I feel like we've been talking for well over an hour, so we're getting to the end of the episode anyway.
All right, cool.
So you know what's up next, right? The 3 questions.
Yeah.
So the first, let's go back to little Nikki, right? Trauma, sexually abused Nikki, little Nikki. And what would you say to her?
I think I would go back to the first time that someone dulled my shine in the way of like, either I was like something that I said that I thought was funny or daring to be different in front of like a group of kids or something where they laughed or I felt shame immediately. And where like the light just goes from like the kid's eyes where it's not innocent anymore, where you get that taken away. And I would be like, don't take up less space. Don't like, it's going to be hell. Like I would shoot her straight because I appreciate honesty. Like I can digest that a lot more, even if it's like horrific. Like, I was picked on a lot for always just for being different in some kind of way. And like, just don't stop taking, like, there was things that I musically, artistically, just everything in life, things that I didn't do because someone dulled my shine. And I was so afraid to ever take that chance and be authentically me ever again. That I was terrified of being humiliated like that. And because like that, like sparkle, like I would just tell her like, dude, like don't
fucking sparkle,
dude. Wow. And people will love you for it. And you will attract the other sparklers.
Yes.
Like just like trust and like, just know it's going to be rough, like, but it's also going to be like beautiful.
I've asked that question now, 29 times, almost 30 times. And I think that was like the deepest response I've got. And just like, cause that's so true. I fear that with my own children, like Abram who's 6, he's just so happy and so innocent. And like, when his feelings are hurt, it's just so small. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen when he loses that childlike innocence,
Your niece is 6 and that's other stuff. But like the doll has been sparkled or the sparkle has been dulled. And I can see it and I see so much. She is a mirror. I've lived many lives with her. I already know it. Like,
yeah, you two do have a special bond.
It's crazy. She feels like my sister for real. And she probably was. So I can already see it. And I'm like, as an empath, I want to try to help anybody not feel pain, but as the children just tear at my heartstrings because I'm just like, I want to save them from ever having to. And listen, I don't know if her brain's gonna like materialize the same way mine did as far as like that humiliation. Whoever dulled her sparkle, I don't know if this is gonna be a lifetime wound for her, but I think that I know because I can like kind of like see some recognition there. So I'm just like, no, like I want to protect her and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, but am I denying her spiritual path?
Her will, yeah.
It's so hard to watch because there's like, you're so powerless. And
but she's going to have an amazing aunt who's going to help her 100% with all the crazy bullshit. That's for sure.
A kid, dude, because she is different, and it's different in the best way. Like, you know, and I think about, I see that is like some inner child work when I'm working with her, having to be compassionate to her, having to understand her getting upset over what I think is like small, like her spilling milk and her like freaking out about it. And like, I want to be like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having compassion for myself as like a kid, because I would freak out over spilled milk too. Like, I just want everything to be perfect. So I don't know. That's what I would tell her, because that was like super damaging for me. And I stopped myself from taking so many risks in life, and still do to this day.
Well, now you know what you got to work on and where you need to heal little Nikki at and start fucking being yourself. Because I always thought you were so cool and such a badass. All right. So what's the best piece of advice that anyone has ever given you?
This was the one that I was scared of.
Were you scared of this one?
Not scared of, just because I'm like, is this the best piece? Because like, I've just had so many.
That's why I just like to ask. So whoever's listening, it's whatever comes to your head first.
All right. That's so crazy you say that, because the person I was going to pick and what she told me, I think it was Jackie at Prana House. And I didn't even know this like cool little apothecary existed in Chester County, let alone on the streets of Westchester. And I walked in there and I was trying to get, she has a range of plant medicine herbs, loose herbs that you can get. She'll make her own. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And she looked me dead in the face, but like warm and like assuring. And she's like, you know. And I was like, what?
Wow.
And she was the first person to like really like give me permission, and also to say exactly what you said. She's like, when I just said, you know, whatever your first response, your knee-jerk response to that was it. And I was like, all right, Angelica root. And she's like, that's crazy, because that's exactly what I would have suggested.
Fuck.
So just trust that. Here's a quick exercise from discerning crazy thinking from intuition. You feel confused, you feel like things aren't clear, and you feel it in your head when it's just, because sometimes like when I was like single and like learning spirituality, I would like see a butterfly and I'm like, that's God telling me to call him. That's not how it works. Like where I feel my intuition and where I know, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I think is like in my solar plexus, in my stomach, like that gut feeling. And like, I never knew that. I had many people who told me that my gut feeling was wrong, so I didn't think I could trust it. I didn't even know how to discern. And she brought me back to that. And I use that as my guide now. It's not always clear because my brain will be like, no, it's this, blah, blah, blah. But if I can be quiet and sit with myself, like I learned to do in that jail cell, it's usually not what I want to hear. It's usually something that goes against my ego's wishes. Wow. And, but it's always very clear. It's always in that voice that was like, you have all the power and nothing will ever hurt you again. Like it always comes like boom, boom, boom. So trust yourself. You can trust yourself. Spend some time with yourself to discern between your head and your gut and like trust that, you know, start standing in your power in that.
Wow. We have one more question, but I feel like that would go with that question is what's the last piece of advice you want to leave for our listening audience?
My last piece of advice.
I mean, it could be everything you just said, because that was amazing.
It could be
fucking power force. Any last thoughts you want to say to them?
All right. Don't react on a feeling. Like,
whew, that's good. I think we could all hear that.
Or don't, if you're not constantly changing belief systems and perceptions and admitting wrongs and looking back on things that you like, if you journal looking back on things and being like, whoa, I think completely different now. If you're not like challenging yourself and like doing those things, like that's a sign that you're changing, and that's good. But there were so many times that I believed that a feeling wasn't going to end. And in my hour of darkness, I believed that the dark would consume me and I would die, and I'll never not feel this way. And usually I feel better quicker than I ever thought. So I would just like encourage you to not be scared of the darkness, that it can't hurt you. Your thoughts can't hurt you. You're not alone. There's some kind of, there's so many resources out here now, but like, I know that you always offer yourself, like, I'll drop my handle, like, contact me. Like, I hold space for people. Like, I do it.
You hold major space for people.
I love it. I love it.
Where can they find you at? If anyone's listening, like, because I know your story's going to hit a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate that, because I was like, when we went on pee break, I was like, everybody, this is going to be a trash episode.
No, this episode's going to be, the whole time I'm like, damn, this episode's so good. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I know usually when you're asking, like, where can people find you? I don't have like a brand per se, but I got the Tricky brand.
We got Tricky Nikki in the hizzle.
Instagram is probably where you don't want to follow me on Facebook because I'm barely on there anyway. It's super toxic, it's just a lot. I'm not gonna say that. At TRI_CKI_. Follow me. I'm always in my stories posting funny stuff. Art,
always.
Graffiti, like music.
Tarot. And she's not, I've been friends for years, so she's in my following.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. This has been, I can't wait for part 2 of this already.
Good. Because there's like a million, that's just the drug story. We could go into.
Listen, I'm like, we should have our own podcast too, be like 2 Geminis or something like that.
It would just be, no, dude, I wouldn't even want to dull what you got. I'm not dull, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't even want you have something so beautiful.
One day you can come on, jump on. You could be.
I would love to,
because I see you going so many places. Because this whole thing, who I became now, what I created, all happened during my Saturn return. So I'm excited to see, like, just you're hitting your Saturn return, and just to see your growth at the end of this. But if anyone wants to reach out to me, have any questions, concern, please feel free to reach out to me. Or if you feel like you have a message that you want to bring on the Hair Healer Podcast, please email me at thehairhealerpodcast@yahoo.com. And also follow me on Instagram at thehairhealer1111. Again, please feel free, if you need to just talk, reach out to myself or Nikki, or if you can't remember and you need, just feel free to DM me and how to find her. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you. Please send this to someone this may help. Please share, do whatever it is. I love you all, and I hope everyone has a beautiful day.